the 97th episode of the AstoundCast. We are
We're-
so close to triple digits.
We are counting.
It's so close now, it's unreal.
We'll get it eventually.
Yeah, pretty soon, hopefully. Anyway, how has your week been?
It has been very quiet, but also very busy at the same time.
Oh, I love and hate those weeks. I know the exact sort of thing you mean as well. Yeah.
It was a case of the week itself was pretty quiet, but then near the end of it, there was like plans and stuff that came up.
Yeah.
To which Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was considered like my busiest days this week. Like I'm usually out
Okay.
on Wednesday and Friday anyway, but Thursday was amazing. But yeah, I have shenanigans to talk about for what happened Thursday because it's to do with a place in Wrexham that hasn't been open that long, but I very much like.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that then?
Yeah. So Thursday, it wasn't a case of I was asked to go. It was more of, hey, you're going. So okay, you can guess which friend it is.
Yeah, I already know who this is.
Yeah. So not dragged, but ended up going to a board game bar called Tabletops that was opened in Wrexham like a couple months ago. And honestly, I've been wanting to go there for quite a while. And for some reason, I've just never went in there.
Oh.
I definitely want to go back.
Yeah, because we've tried to go in there a couple of times, haven't we?
Yeah, but every time we went, it was a Tuesday, and they're not open then.
Yeah, which is a very strange day to not be open. I've got to be honest, Tuesday, bit of a random one.
Kind of. Also, chowder?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there either. But yes, I've never heard it. I'm sure there's obviously a reason for the Tuesday thing, but Tuesday seems a bit of a random day.
Well, it's Tuesday and Wednesday they're not open, so it's Thursday.
Oh.
It's Thursday to Monday that they're open.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I have been wanting to go in there for a while, to be honest. It looks pretty interesting.
Honestly, no, I'd say definitely try it because there is inside of it. I don't. For some reason, it's kind of like spoiling it for you. It's a case of it looks like a medieval tavern in there, and it's definitely up your alley.
Good. Also, hi, Rowan. Okay, so that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, you just pay either for for drinks to just stay in there with the free games, or you pay per hour for whatever tier game you get.
Yeah. Okay, those are the two weirdest comments I've ever seen in my life that were in sync.
You know what? Yeah, I've missed this.
Yeah. Feels weird having comments again.
Because we got those sorts of comments again, to be fair.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, motorsports, or how's your week been?
My week has been incredibly warm, and Rowan, no. I've missed this. But yeah, my week has been incredibly warm. Oh my god, I have literally been melting for the last 3-4 days.
Oh dear.
I don't understand it. We're in September now, for Christ's sake. How are we getting July level weather?
I don't know, but if people are camping out in this weather, it's definitely pretty good.
Honestly, according to my weather app on my phone right now, we are going to be getting a massive drop in temperature on Tuesday, thank God.
That's pretty good, at least.
We've only got just over a day to put up with it. And thank God for that. Ugh.
Not the worst.
No, not really. I've had worse weeks, obviously, but yeah, it's been pretty warm. And if you know me, you know that I don't handle the warm weather very well.
For multiple reasons.
I'm like coded to cope with the weather I was born in. And well, being a Christmas Eve baby, this wasn't it. This was not that weather. Like at all. So yeah, week's been pretty damn warm, I've gotta be honest. Can't wait for it to start cooling down again. Please, please, please roll on Tuesday. So yeah, motorsport news. Oh Jesus. Motorsport news this week hasn't been brilliant from F1's end.
Uh-oh.
Because there's been a lot of controversy once again surrounding a certain Dr. Helmut Marko. Because
What's happened this time?
well, he said something rather xenophobic about Checo Perez in the past couple of days. In fact, it's so awful. I'm not even going to try and repeat it on stream. It's pretty damn bad.
Ah.
Yeah. So, how Helmut Marko hasn't been suspended yet? I really, really, really don't know. Yeah. So, I'm really not too happy about this. Of course, when Yuri Vips had his major incident last year, he was dropped by the Red Bull team only to be rehired, which I thought was a bit shady at best. So, how Helmut Marko's gotten away with this scot-free so far, I simply don't know.
Again, it could be partially favoritism, maybe.
Well, to be fair, Helmut Marko handles all the sports parts of Red Bull, not just F1. So he handles the, I don't know, the rally stuff, the Red Bull Air racing, the soapbox racing. He handles everything Red Bull that isn't the drinks.
So it's basically he has power. That's the issue.
But not as much as he did between Dietrich Mateschitz dying and the new CEO being appointed, who has now been appointed. So he doesn't have as much power as he used to, but it seems he's still got a bit too much to get him, so that he's gotten away with it.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, isn't brilliant at all, to be honest. So yeah, that's going to be. I would say it's going to be a developing situation, but I've got a horrible feeling that it absolutely will not be. It will absolutely not be kind of dealt with at all. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a developing situation at all, really. Which is a bit of a shame, because, that sort of thing in F1, or anywhere these days, should really be completely inexcusable and dealt with very quickly. It really shouldn't matter what your position is within a company or in any part of life. If you say something like that, that should be dealt with. So, I'm a bit disappointed in that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's been like 3, maybe 4 days since this happened now. I'm not sure of the time of the period of time at the moment, but it's been a few days and nothing's come of it other than a very half-hearted apology, to be honest.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it wasn't really brilliant. In fact, it made it ever so slightly worse. Like, yeah, it's made the situation kind of a little bit worse, which isn't brilliant. So yeah, that's very disappointing to see, to be honest. However, on the Red Bull train, slightly more positively, Daniel Ricciardo is now very much on the road to recovery, with him actually sharing a picture of his hand on Instagram. So he's very much on the road to recovery now. So I think rough estimates bring him back in Qatar. It looks as if he is going to be out for Singapore and Japan, although it's possibly could be back for Japan. But the projections at the minute are leading towards Qatar, which is in 2 races' time.
Yeah.
But there was something else going on this weekend with Red Bull. Yeah, most of it's revolving around Red Bull this week. There was a thing called Formula Red Bull, which was actually an event at the Nürburgring in Germany featuring the RB1, which was the original Red Bull from 2005, and the RB7 from 2011. Now, this event was originally supposed to be Sebastian Vettel in the RB7, which it ultimately was, and Daniel Ricciardo in the RB1.
Ooh.
But unfortunately, due to Daniel Ricciardo breaking his wrist, he had to be replaced, and he was replaced by one of the drivers who drove that RB1 back in 2005, David Coulthard.
Yeah.
And with the Nürburgring being a track that F1 doesn't race at anymore, quite cool to see.
That does sound pretty cool, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's also been announced that Sebastian Vettel will be in the F1 paddock in Japan. And conveniently, that is also due to be the race that Red Bull win the Constructors' Championship at.
Very convenient, that.
Yeah, and with Seb being an ex-Red Bull driver, of course, winning all 4 of his championships with that team, that'll be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, it should be.
But yeah, other than that, not too much going on in the motorsport world at the minute. Been pretty dead, other than all that stuff. Now, moving on from that, we got entertainment stuff to go over. Because to my surprise, we've got another Nintendo Direct coming up soon, apparently.
Yeah, that should be exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, I've been hearing some little rumors. And, well, I'm curious about one of them, which is the fact that we're apparently going to be getting one Nintendo DS remake and a Nintendo Wii remake, and they're supposedly linked.
What? Oh, damn. Because I'm now to think, what game would be linked to both the DS and the Wii U?
Well, it's just the normal Wii.
Oh, the normal Wii. Oh, there's a couple of them.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, it does make it quite broad selection.
That's very much. Oh, I'm not even
And I'm
sure.
curious to see how it's going to work on the Switch,
Yeah.
especially the DS games. Of course, the DS was 2 screens. The Switch is only 1.
Okay, they have remade some games from the DS to the Switch. For example, The World Ends With You, because I've got that. How
Okay.
they've done it is they've ended up changing the UI on it.
Yeah.
So instead of having like the 2 screens, or like with Splatoon, for example, for Splatoon 2, because that was
Mhm.
technically 2 screens with like the Wii U, they've ended up
Okay.
doing it so they have like correlating buttons that would be able to bring up certain things, or they've made it more effective for
Yeah.
touchscreen. So they're trying to make use of that mechanic when a lot of the games they already have don't really use that feature.
Okay.
E.g. Animal Crossing, as much as they have like, hey, you could do this and that, they don't make use of the touchpad that often. A
Oh,
lot of it is just controller based.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a case of how they're gonna make it more based on touchscreen,
Yeah.
or how they're going to be able to work around the fact that they had two screens and now they have to go to one.
Yeah.
See how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Because one major rumor I've heard about one of the two games is apparently that could be Mario versus Donkey Kong, and I'm not sure why because I've never played this game. Some people seem to be kind of dreading that.
I mean, to be fair, from what I've heard, it wasn't the best.
Right. So it wouldn't make an immense amount of sense for Nintendo to remake it.
No. Actually, it's a very good reason for them to remake it because they have another chance at it. Never mind.
I guess that's true.
Very first Donkey Kong. We do have one version for the DS as like I have a copy of it on DS. That's what I'm trying to say, and it's kind of it's a puzzle game anyway. So
Okay.
the puzzle aspect that really needed working because it could glitch, and I didn't personally have too much of a fun time with it. I'd probably have to dig out my old copy just to try it again.
Okay.
But if they're gonna remake it, they might do better because there's always a chance that they could do better versus them doing worse.
True. Well, I suppose we'll have to wait and see on that front. Oh yeah, and a slight delay on one of my predictions for the Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Direct. Earlier this week, we did actually receive a video message from Charles Martinet.
All right.
And it was him kind of going into what his role as the Mario ambassador was. And frankly, it's not too much different than what he's been doing. Basically, he's just going to be doing conventions now.
That's not so bad. He still exists. That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. But still, it's literally no different than what he's been doing.
No, but at least you know that he's still going to be able to interact with the fan base.
Yeah, true. Something that I was quite sad to learn about. He won't be in Super Mario Bros. Wonder at all. So, without knowing it, Super Mario Odyssey was his last game for Mario.
That is kind of sad, not gonna lie.
Well, it was the last. We didn't know about it being his last game. I don't know if he knew about it being his last game or not. I really hope he did.
Why?
Well, let's face it. If a role you've been playing for 30 years comes to an end, you'd probably want to know that it's your last time doing it.
Yeah, true.
Because I'm not sure he stepped down.
Oh, don't bring conspiracy theories into this.
Well, not really. I'm just saying that I'm not quite sure if it was him stepping down. Like, I don't know. But I am kind of sad to know now, 5 years later, that Mario Odyssey was his last Mario game.
And we still never got an official Waluigi game out of him.
And we never will.
You know, that's the bigger heartbreak for me.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. I swear to God, if they do one now.
I would both laugh and cry. Simple as.
Yeah. But, yeah, I was a bit disappointed to hear about that, really, because Shigeru Miyamoto said in the video message, because he was in it too, that we will meet the new voice cast from Super Mario Bros. Wonder pretty soon. So I thought, oh, that's it. It's over. Yeah, so I was a bit disappointed to hear that, but I suppose it had to end eventually.
good things must come to an end.
Yeah, again, I just wish we knew at the time.
Well, to be fair, life is very unexpected, as you definitely know.
Oh god, yeah. I will give you that.
It might have been, hey, this was planned for a while. It could have also been that, hey, this is the first time we're hearing about it, and
Yeah.
so life doesn't work out that as well
Yeah,
as
again,
it to be. So we just have to take it as it comes.
yeah. The main thing here is I hope Charles knew at the time that Mario Odyssey was going to be his last one. I do hope he was told then.
Cam, the game came out like yonks ago now, so
True. Yeah.
I don't know whether he would have known or he wouldn't have known. And either way,
Yeah.
as long as nothing comes out that there's been some form of like he's been chucked
Yeah.
out accounts of something bad, then we're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what I'm hoping isn't the case. Like, I'm hoping it's all been okay. But,
Well, if he's
yeah.
then it should be fine.
Yeah. But kind of sticking on the Nintendo side of things, the Pokemon 2024 Championship regionals have already begun,
That's pretty cool.
only a month after the 2023 World Championship.
Well, you need to know who's the best of the best already, because they're gonna have preliminaries, then they're gonna have
Yeah.
bets, and then finally they do everything needed in order to get everything back.
Yeah.
I'm not making
Although,
sense, but you know what I mean. So
yeah, I know what you mean. But at the moment, the Pittsburgh regionals are going on, so I believe that. No, that's in America, right?
yes,
Good. I promise my geography's not that bad. Well,
if you
yeah,
know which
the.
home, you're fine.
Hmm?
If you know which way is home, you're fine.
True. But yeah. So those regionals are going on right now. So if you want to go and tune into that, please stay on this stream. But once this is over, go take a look.
It's back. It's fine.
Yeah, but I'm honestly kind of looking forward to that because, of course, the last World Championships I caught on just as the World Championships were right around the corner.
Yeah.
But this one I'll be able to see through, and of course, this World Championship for next year will be on a much more reasonable time for me to watch.
True. Very true.
Because as we know, the one in Japan was on at like midnight.
That's not their fault.
True,
Well, but it's not
but
their fault.
true, but also no. No. And considering those things running at like 9:30 in the morning, I love Pokemon, but I was not prepared to do an all-nighter.
Not that time.
Or should I say, 3 all-nighters?
I was just busy that weekend, so I couldn't tune in.
Yeah. Now, what's I talk about next? Oh hell.
You run out.
Ah, no, I remember. um, yep, I remembered, and it's still kind of sticking on theme, so I'm pretty impressed with myself here. I've got to be honest. The first half of the Skull and Violet DLC is dropping in a few days.
Yep, should drop on the 13th instead of me keep saying 10th for some reason. I just had 10th in my head, but it was 13th after all.
I was going to say, and that would be today, which would have been amazing timing, but alas.
If it was today, I would have had the Switch on like screen and I would have been playing Pokemon for you.
True. Yeah, I've got to be honest, even though I haven't got the game yet, I am very much looking forward to seeing what comes out of this.
Well, there'll be plenty of new Pokemon. There a new storyline with with a minimum of 3 new characters.
Okay.
For this one, there's going to be new Pokemon as well involved.
Okay.
And outfits and hairstyles, which I am very much looking forward to, because as much as they've tried, they don't really get the fashion stuff right anymore.
Right.
They did a lot better with the handheld consoles for that.
Fair enough. And hopefully they will add even more on top in the second half of the DLC.
Yep, simply because with the second part of the DLC, it has 4 different man-made biomes, in which case that would insinuate that they have Pokemon that shouldn't be from that region in there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be where a lot of the rest of the Pokedex comes in, because of course, as we know right now, the Pokedex in Scarlet and Violet's like, what, 450?
Nope, 400.
My bad. But with, I think these 2 DLCs are probably going to pad that out a hell of a lot more. And I think that's...
at least over 1,000 Pokemon. So
yeah, and I think that's going to and I think those 4 biomes are definitely going to help with that.
Well, it all depends on how many they're going to try and put in, because
True.
there's that, and remember, there's also the next part of the first DLC, which has more Pokemon in it as well.
True, yeah.
Part of the region that you get to explore.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, but I'm also curious on your thoughts on something Pokemon related.
Oh, go for it.
The new type.
Which one?
The Terra type?
Oh, the Terra typings. That's technically not a type.
No?
That is a gimmick.
Okay.
Right. I'll first explain to you what Terra typing is. So,
Okay.
say for example, you have your itty bitty little Pikachu right there, who is an
Yeah.
electric.
Mm-hmm.
With a normal Pikachu, it could have an electric Terra typing, to which if you terrestrialize it, which is just uses Terra type, it'll become a pure electric type still. But if, for example, you had a Pikachu with who, as we all know, electric type, but they had a flying type Terra typing, and you end up terrestrializing it, so using that Terra type, that typing transforms it into a pure flying type instead of an electric type. And the moves that they use, if, for example, you have the flying Pikachu and it has a flying type move, let's just say Pikachu has a flying type move, for example.
Okay.
Because it's a flying type now, for temporarily a flying type, it'll have stab, so special type attack bonus, but also it'll have a 1+5 modifier to it as well.
Okay.
Flying type Pikachu. And it will resist ground. Well, ground types can't hit it anymore because it's a flying type.
So it's in essence a type converter.
Yes, in essence, a type converter or an additional typing that you have to give up your original one for. So it's useful for Pokemon such as, let's say a Machamp.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, let's say a Machamp, which is fighting type. It's weak against flying, it's weak against ghost.
Yeah.
Say you decide that Machamp has the move strength, and you have a normal type Terra typing on it.
Uh-huh.
To normal type, that normal type move will be able to hit for double damage, and ghost type moves can't hit you anymore because you are normal type. Normal can't hit ghost, ghost can't hit normal.
That makes sense.
Will hit for normal damage. So it's a case of strategic thinking on that half.
Right. That's actually really cool.
it's a better gimmick. It's a better gimmick than some of the other ones, although I think their most creative one has been uh, damn it, what was it? Mega Revolution, that was it.
Ah, yeah.
Because they added, like, they ended up fully changing some Pokemon's appearances and typings.
Yeah.
For example, Charizard for Mega Charizard X,
Yeah.
it became a fire dragon type.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with Mega Charizard Y, I might be mixing them up, but Mega Charizard Y still stuck as fire flying.
Yeah. Now, that brings me on to a very interesting question.
Yep.
Least favorite gimmick?
Oh, jeez. That's a very good question. I. Whew. It depends, because I don't really use the gimmicks that much, to be honest.
No?
So, Gen 1 had no gimmick, Gen 2 had no gimmick, Gen 3 had contest, but that's not battle related. Gen 4 didn't have any. Gen 5 technically had triple battles and rotation battles, which they never brought back, and I'm very sad about that.
Ooh.
Gen 6 had Mega Evolution. Gen
Mm-hmm.
7 had Z moves. I didn't use the Z moves that often, so.
Right.
But they were kind of funky to look at. Generation
Okay.
had Gigantamaxing, which again I went through the entire game without using that. So
Good God. Wow.
I'm just thinking I went through the entire game of Scarlet and Violet without using terrestrializing either.
Wow.
I just forget the gimmicks exist, so I just don't use them, and I just sweep everything without need. Despite
Fair enough.
I guess it would be Gigantamaxing would be my least favorite, considering it was one of those things where you just make yourself bigger, and bigger means you have bigger stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pokemon had extra forms to go along with it. Like for example, if
Mm-hmm.
you did it with an Alchemy, it turned into at least a 5-tiered cake.
Hmm.
Garboda, an entire pile of rubbish, like a bigger
Yeah.
pile. It became the skip.
Okay.
Uh, I liked that part, but actually doing it, it was just, hey, your stats are boosted and you are now super big. And if you have certain Pokemon, they will also look a different way. Which,
Wow.
yeah, great, but like that's like Mega Evolution. But Mega Evolution made it better because you were able to change because some of them had different typings to them. Some of them had different abilities, like a temporary ability added to them instead. So it was just a
Okay.
version of Mega Evolution to me.
Hmm.
But you were able to have able to have raid dungeons where you could go with people to catch certain Pokemon. For
Yeah.
example, the DLC for that, the Crown Tundra, it brought in a gimmick where you go through like a like the certain maze thing, and at the end of it, there will always be a really good Pokemon or a legendary Pokemon that you could go and catch that you couldn't get anywhere else.
Okay.
And it's a case of this is the only place you can get all of these rares. Which it's a cool concept,
Yeah.
but it, it's a case of it's just them. There's nothing new about them.
Hmm.
Like um, with Terra typings, for example, being able to do that, there is an event going on at the moment where you can catch a Mewtwo.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
There's the event with a Mewtwo and the event with a Mew. And every person's Mew got a different sort of stats and terror typing.
Okay.
The Mewtwo will always be psychic. They've confirmed that. They will always have a psychic terror typing. But every Mew will have a different terror typing and slightly different stats to each other. So a lot of people will have different to others.
Okay.
Like mine, my Mew that I got, it was an ice terror, which was quite
Oh.
cool. Yeah.
An ice Mewtwo.
No,
Mew.
ice. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Mewtwo then.
It's Mew, it's Mewtwo, there's no Mew 3.
You know Nintendo are now going to be working on that.
No, they haven't been. If they haven't worked on that for years, then they're not starting now.
Yeah, fair point.
Although they did give us the different versions of Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to say it was not Mega Revolution. It was Gigantamaxing. That would be my least favorite.
Okay. Now, another super important question coming up for you here.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything you want to talk about this evening?
Apart from complaining about the weather, there's not really much I can think of about bringing up, I guess.
Yeah. Same here, really. Oh, I have got a little bit of a Halo rumor.
Oh, yeah.
Right, recently there's been rumors of Season 5 of Halo Infinite multiplayer coming out in the next couple of days, I think now. And some data miners have found something potentially very interesting.
Oh, what they found.
For the first time in a very long time, since Halo 3, if I remember correctly, yeah, you'll be able to play as the Sang Healy, aka the Elites.
Ooh.
Yeah, and the last time you were able to do that was the Arbiter back in Halo 3.
That's pretty cool.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, Halo Infinite never had the strongest of starts, but popular opinion seems to be coming back around to it. Like, it seems to be having a bit of a resurgence,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because of the absolute annihilation level purge at 343 Industries.
Oh.
Like, the top level was pretty much stripped out and replaced.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Because I've got to be honest, since Halo 4, they haven't really handled the game right.
Yeah.
Because unlike Bungie, who had a story-driven game with a competitive multiplayer side to it, that was kind of that community was built up by the fans. 343's gone the other way. They focused on the multiplayer while sacrificing the story. And if you've been watching my thoughts on the Halo games, you'll know since the 343 era, the story hasn't quite been up to scratch compared to the Bungie era.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see the difference between the Bungie and the 343 era in terms of the story. Now, multiplayer I can't comment on because I haven't touched either the Bungie era multiplayer or the new era. So I can't comment on that, but I can definitely see a shift away from the story.
Yeah.
And I was even watching a video a few days ago about this, and I don't know who it was, one of the developers, I think, of the game, went up so far on screen to say that Halo has always been a competitive multiplayer game.
Ooh.
And pretty much the whole fandom just said, "What?"
That. How could he say something so
What?
controversial yet so brave?
The entire fandom literally said, they basically said, have we been playing the same game called Halo? Because, hate to say this, bud, but, the fans made the multiplayer bit as what it is. That was never Bungie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the fandom went a bit nuts that day, I can't lie. But it seems that 343 are starting to bring it back around, of course. The story side will probably have to wait until Halo 7, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they're definitely making some major improvements to multiplayer because one big problem, apparently, which I can't quite believe has only been solved recently, was that when vehicle drops happened on both sides, you would get completely different kinds of vehicle.
No, actually, that's
So,
kind of funny.
however, massively scuffed. For example, you could get on one side a Scorpion, which is a massive tank. On the other side, you could get a Ghost, which is basically a hoverbike.
Again, that is kind of funny to me because play things
Oh,
aren't equal as it is, but
but like
I do see the annoyance of that too.
that was a very baked in issue though. Like that determined how matches went
Yeah.
until literally the last couple of weeks. And bear in mind, this game's been out for nearly 2 years.
Yeah, no, casual stuff.
At least, they fixed that now. But that was obviously a very big problem that turned a lot of people off from the multiplayer game for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I think bringing in the Sangheili as playable again could potentially bring some more people back.
Maybe.
Because according to statistics, for the first time again in a very long time now, the player population for Halo Infinite is starting to creep back up.
That's good.
So they're definitely undoing some of the damage done at launch. At last.
That long.
Yeah, like I can very much compare this to Battlefront 2 back in the day.
Ooh,
Like,
that's a good
because
comparison.
if you remember, that got off to quite the rocky start as well.
Very true.
Yeah, and then they absolutely clawed it back and made it one of the most beloved multiplayer games in the Star Wars franchise, and then promptly shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dark day. Like, the game was getting just to where we wanted it, and then, just as we were getting there, by the way, we're pulling the plug. Bye.
I've had that before with an app where it's like really good quality, been out for a
Mm.
couple months, and then as soon as we're thinking, oh yeah, it's coming back, it's coming up to the 1st year anniversary. So yeah, happy 1 year. We're gonna shut this down now.
Yeah. You know, Niantic. I have seen, like, of course they've had massive success with Pokemon Go, right?
Yeah.
And they've obviously tried to capitalize on that success with same sort of game, but with other franchises, right?
Yep.
Did you know that only one of those made it out of development and into active, availability?
I did not. Which one made it?
I can't remember what it was called now, but it was a Harry Potter one.
Oh no! I remember exactly which one that is. I hate it.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the only one that actually made it out of development. Every other one has shut down during development.
Yeah, it's a case of as much as people are able to get out and do stuff, we don't want a similar situation happening with Pokemon Go, where people were just in the middle of the street, almost getting run over to catch a Snorlax.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, I'm quite sad about the most recent attempt failing. Because it was Transformers.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was meant to be coming out roundabout now. And then I think it was like 2, 3 months ago. Either way, yeah, this hasn't worked. We're shutting it down.
Well, it's at least they admit that, hey, we had an idea, it didn't work, we're very sorry.
Except they've had several ideas and they haven't worked.
But the thing is, it's better to have the ideas and then maybe one day somebody else could develop.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to be honest. I think they struck gold with Pokemon Go, didn't
Yeah, and just nothing else has stuck since.
they? Like, they hit the jackpot and they're now thinking, right, where do we go from here?
The only way is up. But where is up?
Except when you've hit the top, which they did. Like,
They found a ceiling.
try and stop Pokemon Go.
I mean, there's a Pikmin game out.
True, but for Niantic, try and stop that. Not gonna happen.
Again, Pokemon fans are very much. Even if we don't like the game, we will get it just to see which Pokemon are in it. And if our favorites are in it, we're just like, it's not so bad.
Yeah. Which, thank God, because obviously this game has been a massive part of me getting into Pokemon in general.
Yeah.
Like, I've had this game for quite a long time now. I originally had it on my grand's phone at launch. By the way, this was before I had a phone. Wanted to say. Well, no. It was while I had a phone, but unfortunately I used up, turns out, every bit of data in one day.
You numpty.
It was my first phone, to be fair.
I didn't even know there was data on my phone with my first one.
Oh. And then, so yeah, I had it on my grand's phone at first, but when I got my next phone, which had pay-as-you-go data, I got it again, started on my own account, and I've got to be honest, my account's still on pretty rookie numbers.
No, but you're enjoying yourself, and that's all that matters.
Although, I will admit, I am on the cusp of level 26.
That's still pretty good.
I think I'm like 25,000 XP away.
Decent.
Also, have you got Pokemon Go?
No. When it first came out, my brother was the one who got it because at the time I didn't have data and he had Fangle Tangle technology.
Yeah.
Because my brother's like 9 years older than me, so he kind of needs it. So when we ended up going out, it would be that I would go with him and we'd just see how stuff we're doing with that. I never got the game myself simply because I am very much forgetful at times, so I wouldn't remember to like check it or get everything sorted. So I prefer the physical games where I don't necessarily need to do that. So I'm able to just check and get all my stuff sorted and just do a lot in one sitting versus having to just wander around. Cam, you still there? Uh-oh. 1 second, folks. Technical difficulties, I guess. Oh, right. I think we might have to end this early because I just had a message from Cameron and his phone is overheated. Yeah, he's just messaged now saying his phone's overheated. So, yeah, I might try and end the stream. See if I can end it from here because he started it, and I'm gonna have to put an end to this. I am so sorry. I am so sorry, everybody. This is just technical difficulties at its finest. So, I guess I'm doing. the outro. So, hey, if you've liked this content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Let us know about what you think about pizzas. I don't know. I don't do this that often. You guys can tell.